Well, hello, boys and girls, fellow patrons, and also I'm going to leave this up for our YouTube subscribers for a little bit, but not for that long. If you really want to see, I just want to show some of the YouTube subscribers some fine program we have here over at the Patreon. I got some, oh, by the way, I'm Pearl of Wisdom, if you don't know. For the YouTube people, all our Patreon members know who I am. We have, I got some inspiration as to, like, I want to do videos like this where I kind of give you some information as to how I pick my leans a little bit, maybe help you with some of the leans that you might go towards, maybe put some, or give some insight into how things are going to go because of certain things happening in the NHL. Like, for instance, a trade deadline, which I think I'll do after this. But what I wanted to talk about today is how does the Toronto Maple Leafs embarrassment yesterday affect our picks now coming in the future? If you don't know what the Toronto Maple Leafs embarrassment is, it's a... sorry, my wife just walked in. And every time she walks in, I get a little flustered. She just gave me one of these and rolled her eyes. I don't understand that. I thought that was a good thing to say. Okay, maybe she doesn't believe me. Anyways, so what happened was, I'll go over it quick if you don't already know. Toronto's playing Carolina. They need that win to begin with. Already playing like horse shit. And we're down 4-1. First of all, who was it that did that? By mistake, oh yes, it was Clifford. By mistake, Clifford runs into Reinhart, their goaltender they put in first. And bad collision. I hope he's okay. Reinhart's a good dude. Or not Reinhart, Reinhart. Anyways, Reimer. Then Mrazek comes in. He also has something happen that causes an injury. I can't remember what it was. They have no goaltenders left. They have to go and get David Ayers, some dude who is basically the Zamboni driver. Actually, Toronto Maple Leafs pay him to do their Zamboni as well. He does work as he does kind of do like goaltending for like a practice goaltender a little bit. But for the most part, he's probably would have a hard time making the ECHL, which is the third lowest professional league that you could possibly find. To give you the magnitude of this, if you took an ECHL goaltender that was very good in the ECHL, brought him up to play a game for the Leafs or whatever, he would be doing well if he only allowed 5 or 6 goals. So you've got half a game, and this is a guy that would be a very bad ECHL goaltender. Quite simply, if you're down 4-1 and you have a guy in here that's just been thrown in cold, who's never played an NHL game, he's 42 years old, and he doesn't regularly practice, you should easily be able to score 5 or 6 in a half a game, which is what they had, a half a game. They barely got that many shots on him, okay? Now, if you also take the history of the Leafs in general, which they have basically been an embarrassment to the league, and this is like the elephant in the room talk. Nobody wants to talk about this, about the fact that they have since 1967 they won the last cup, maybe past that, at least 1970, 75. They have pretty much been an embarrassment to the league. They had some good teams that almost made the finals in early 90s, mid 90s, somewhere around there. But besides that, absolute disaster. They've made some of the worst trades, made the worst moves, had horrible teams, have always found a way to lose. And they are supposed to be the center of the universe here in Canada as far as hockey is concerned. So that even just adds to it. The biggest fan base for the actual sport in the world, and they are an embarrassment. So sad. So that's okay. That is all. Those are all facts. But how does that affect our picks now? Moving forward for the rest of the season. Well, when it comes to Toronto, it's quite simple. We do not bet on Toronto for the rest of the season. We bet against them or we don't bet them at all. Even if you see a good game, like they played that one game against Pittsburgh, and you know what? It got me. I had Toronto last night against Carolina. I thought, okay, I remember when their coach, and I always forget his name, Brian's always got to tell me what his name is, Sheldon Keefe. Sheldon was very disappointed. Now, I couldn't tell what kind of disappointment it was and what he was going to do to try to motivate. And what it appears he does is he tries to use shame. It looked like on the ice during that game, he was shaming the guys on the ice. You could see it in their faces, like they were looking like, just shut up. The last thing we need right now is somebody pointing out how big of a game this is. We already know. What it looks like is he's a horrible coach. Really. That's a terrible thing to say at that point. He should be excited saying, all right, guys, we got this. We're going to get lots of shots. And, come on, you guys, I know you guys can do this and I believe in you. And that's not what they were saying. So what I see is a really bad coach. I see some players in there that are young. Let's see. I think the coaching choices so far have been poor for a young team like that they have. These guys are not guys that are going to take well to being shamed. These younger generation, they kind of are coming out of this realization that they know that that's not the best way to motivate people. And I would say, what I see in their faces is they're just fed up with it. They're fed up with it. That being said, you're an owner who's paying $40 million to Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares. Half your salary cap. And those four guys can't score on a Zamboni driver in a goal and a half. It's insane. So the mix of all this, there's the shame. There's the Leafs fans, the Leaf players that I think really hate their coach. The fact that they are all making so much money, they all know within the room that those four players basically make up half of their salary cap, and it's very difficult for them to add to that team. They have poor defense. All of this says that all this works out that we have big money here. Because there's another thing that happens is Toronto gets overvalued constantly by the bookies, by the people making the lines almost all the time. So we should get some big money betting against Toronto for the rest of the season. And that's really what matters, right? That's the whole thing that matters. As much as I feel for Leafs fans, I like my pocketbook better. So we got a great lean now for the rest of the year because of this. I know we're all going to make a lot of money. And tell your friends about us, right? You're making money with your monthly subscription and all that stuff like that. Tell your friends about it. Have them come over. We're going to make this into a lot of different stuff. We're going to have competitions. B and I are going to travel around and we're going to come see you and take you to hockey games and all of those sort of things like that. That's what our plan is. That's what our intention is. As we succeed more and more, this is going to get bigger and greater, and we're going to give it back because we love you guys. Have a great day. Lots of love to you.